Pro words. Pro words are standard communications words that have an accepted meaning. They are verbal shorthand, if you like. You should become familiar with common pro words because by using them you can reduce the time spent transmitting messages. Turnout. A turnout is a message informing the comm centre that the appliance has received the page message and are responding to the event. A turnout is only required by appliances and indicates to FIRS the time you respond.
Vic 5, Buninyong tank is turning out to a grass and scrub fire, White Horse Road, Mount Clear, Code 1.
Roger, Buninyong tanker.
Should any component of the turnout message differ to that paged, the dispatcher will correct the message. Should there be any further information relating to safety or access other than that already paged, it will be relayed to the responding brigades. ESTA do not direct brigades to respond Code 1, but page an advised code to proceed based on what the caller has told the call taker. On scene. On scene indicates the appliance is at the location and is now under the control of the incident controller. If you're the first arriving appliance, you must establish a control point. However, there is no requirement to establish a control point for community service calls.
Vic 5, Buninyong tanker on scene, now known as White Horse Road Control.
Control points. Once established, all communications will be directed through this control point.
Vic 5, White Horse Road Control, word back.
White Horse Road Control 10.
Word back. A word back is a precise definition of the type and status of the incident or fire. A word back must contain the originating officer's name, the type of incident or fire found, the current status of the event, and the actual location of the fire or incident. The final location must be given, especially when it differs to the original reported location. This information is used for FIRS and any cost recovery that may be required. Not yet under control. The status is what resources are required to make the situation safe. Not yet under control means the CFA resources en route and on scene are not sufficient to control the situation. Unless otherwise directed by the incident controller, all responding resources will be automatically upgraded to Code 1.
Word back from Lieutenant Witham, grass and scrub fire not yet under control, White Horse Road, Mount Clear, make tankers 5.
Roger, White Horse Road Control. Word back from Lieutenant Witham. Grass and scrub fire not yet under control, White Horse Road.
Escalations. When additional appliances or specialist equipment is required, then the pro word MAKE should be used. ESTA will use the brigade's word back table for the assignment area where the event is located. Therefore, it's important the location be updated as soon as possible. This way, the correct resources will be allocated. Situation reports. A situation report, or SITREP, is verbally painting a picture of what's happening. This information is used by ICCs, DCCs, groups, other responding appliances such as rescues, and even neighbouring brigades. Often there's a lot of planning and offering of assistance occurring in the background. A SITREP helps with this process.
Vic 5, White Horse Road Control, SITREP.
White Horse Road Control 10.
SITREP from Lieutenant Witham, fire involves an area of bush approximately 100 metres by 20 metres, spreading towards houses. Oncoming appliances will be required for asset protection.
Roger, White Horse Road Control. SITREP from Lieutenant Witham. Fire involves area of bush 100 metres by 20 metres. Oncoming appliances required for asset protection.
Messages. Any radio transmission that's not a word back or SITREP is a message. Any message requesting assistance from either police or ambulance requires additional information. For police, the information required relates to the reason why police are required. If this isn't provided in the first instance, the ESTA dispatcher will request it, as the police will want this basic information. Ambulance require information to assist with the prioritising of calls. The acronym NCBASE is a good way to remember it. Number of casualties, conscious, breathing, age of the casualty, sex of the casualty, extent of injuries.
Vic Fire, Whitehorse Road Control message.
Whitehorse Road Control sent.
Vic Fire, ambulance required for a 28-year-old male, conscious and breathing, suffering from mild smoke inhalation, and police required for traffic control.
Roger, Whitehorse Road Control.
Under control. Under control means the fire resources on scene and those en route are sufficient to control the situation.
Word back from Lieutenant Witham. Grass and scrub fire under control. Whitehorse Road, Mount Clear.
Stop. The fire resources on scene are sufficient to deal with the situation, and no further resources are required.
Word back from Lieutenant Witham. Grass and scrub fires stop. Whitehorse Road, Mount Clear.
Returning.
Vic Fire, Buninyong tanker returning.
When an appliance is leaving the scene and is finished with the incident, then the pro word returning is used. This will mean that the incident controller has released the appliance and it's now ready for any other turnouts. If the appliance is not ready for any turnouts, they must inform the comm centre accordingly. When a brigade advises they are not available for any calls, it's the brigade's responsibility to advise the comm centre when they are ready for future calls. When the last appliance leaves the scene, the control point is automatically closed. Therefore, it is not necessary to close a control point. In station. The in-station pro word indicates the appliance is no longer on the event. When the last appliance is in station, the event details are now available for FIRS entry.
Vic Fire, Buninyong tanker in station.
Roger, Buninyong tanker.
If an appliance has concluded their involvement with the event but is not going back into the station, all that is required is to tell the comm centre they are in station and the appliance will be removed from the event. The use of standard terminology and pro words by agencies means that when different agencies work together at an incident, communications will be unambiguous and effective. Some additional examples of pro words are acknowledge. Let the originator know that you have received the message and that it's understood. Correction. An error has been made in this transmission. Figures. Use before map reference figures. Fire call. Alert to another radio that a message will involve details of a fire not previously reported. Out. My transmission is finished and I will remain listening. No response is required. It's a contraction of listening out. Over. End of my transmission. A reply is expected. Relay through. Send your message through station indicated. Say again. Say again all before. Say again all after. Please repeat all of your last transmission, or the portion I have indicated. Stand by. I'm not ready to receive you, and will call back when ready. This is... Transmission is from... Wait. Only to be used if a pause of only a few seconds is required. Practice is the only way to become competent with communications. Seek every opportunity to become familiar with the equipment and operating techniques. Practice transmitting, receiving and relaying messages within your brigade and/or group regularly. By maintaining radio discipline at all times, when the adrenaline increases, you will default back to your normal way of operation, which will make the task of passing on information quicker and more accurate for those listening.